got an ornament.
Why do you have an ornament?
Because they were giving them out free in the cafeteria.
Ornament hole.
You're supposed to take it home and decorate and send a picture in, like win stuff, but I'm just gonna take it with me.
Yeah, I got a pumpkin and I was gonna put 2021 double horns on it, but somehow I turned it into waddles.
That's funny.
Oh, it's so much better.
Turn on, you piece of shit.
Try to leave the button down for a while.
Mine works.
My computer was doing that too. Trying to show my boyfriend something I made.
You a boyfriend.
Hey.
I always remember, you can always buy a boyfriend. You can always buy a boyfriend.
Yeah, well, let's stay with you for the night.
$10 aren't that expensive.
I already bought my boyfriend. I own him.
What do you keep them on a leash and collar?
No, that's only if you're really in a committed relationship.
Oh no, yeah.
I mean, I got John Stamos tied up in my basement.
Who doesn't want John Stamos right up in the basement?
Me. Because I want John Stamos
Indy.
and George Clooney.
Yeah.
Hey, he's a silver fox now. Shush.
And I just never thought he was all that good.
Actually, you know who I want to have in my piece? Strike that. Actually, no. The two people I would have with me for a night would be Jenny Slate and Chris Evans.
Who's Chris Evans?
Chris Evans alone.
Captain America?
He had one accidental Twitter post. Leave him alone.
That's
Yep.
funny because I know somebody that I used to work with at EOS and he was Chris Evans. I didn't realize Captain America's name was.
Here's
Yes.
something funny. You know Lucas Grabeel, who played,
Short-faced brother.
yeah, he was actually my aunt's neighbor. He's from Alaska.
I know his cousin.
Does anybody know how to get my thing to work? Because my password don't want to work.
Have you tried black magic?
You need a virgin sacrifice.
No,
Well, no, we're not.
no.
We're using Emily first.
First of all, virginity is a falsified concept that was made to make you feel bad. And two, if anything, virgin just wants someone who hasn't been like tainted by like disease and all that. So you want someone who has a somewhat still clean body.
I'm definitely not that.
Yeah, which is hard to find.
Sexually, yes, I'm a virgin. Mentally, no. I hang out with Morgan and Libby too much.
Okay, mental virginity is false because being a human automatically gives you a dirty mind.
I am the sex god of my life, but I cannot help it.
I mean,
No.
you can with yourself, but
Real tiny energy right there.
what?
Tiny energy.
Energy.
You don't know what tiny energy is?
I think we need a bullet.
No. Tiny energy means
Teacher.
no, you're tiny. You do something tiny.
I see Caitlin's bag, but no Caitlin.
She's been
I think
She
she's
has
a
something now.
Had to go potty.
Probably.
and we'll pop.
She left before.
Unless she's committing a virgin sacrifice on the toilet.
Why?
I've been rewatching that one episode of Johnny Bravo where he's on that island of the Amazon and
The
they're about to
virgin sacrifice of the Amazon does not need to be at the toilet then.
But the fun part is when they say, "Oh, Goddess Athena, we offer you this virgin," and he says, "Wait, did she say virgin?"
Remember the episode where Johnny got catfished by an actual deer?
No, I don't remember.
I do.
I remember the Valentine's Day special where he actually got a good date, and she turned out to be like a Russian spy, and she had a great memory.
Remember the episode of when he was in a chick's body and he felt it was like to be constantly hit on?
I remember that. See, why can't we show reruns of those shows nowadays?
We can, it's just not popular because kids today are stupid.
I don't know. We can show them Steven Universe and Gravity Falls.
Yeah, those are okay because those were made in like the very early like 2010s. Okay, so from 2010 to 2016, early 2016, and that age was like the premium of
Alexis,
modern
can you tell us that
personals.
flashing, that light on the back of it?
Anything after that, except for a select few, which I will name later on,
Good.
is horse shit.
Oh, you people all suck.
Thank you.
What's off?
Because the fact is if it wasn't Bugs Bunny or Tom and Jerry from the 40s and 50s, it's not worth watching.
Although they actually did do an update called the Looney Tunes show, where it was literally just like the old ones, where it was.
It's not bad, but there's no Mel Blanc.
I want to talk.
No, but they did make Lola Bunny a decent character.
I want to talk about something. Legitimately, just sitting on Facebook and a whole video pops up of Tom and Jerry having voices, like actually talking.
Oh, I remember.
That's no
and
good.
My entire fucking brain went kaboom.
Yeah, it's no good.
Their voices are so funny.
All right, so let's wait for Kayla and Caitlin to get here, and then we'll start together. If you guys would, go ahead and launch InDesign. And when Caitlin and Kayla get back in here, we'll start together as a group on this first assignment in InDesign.
And this is creating the book.
Okay, but you guys met, there's some foreign versions that are pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Bananas and pajamas.
Never seen it.
It was stupid but fun.
There's one
Name a few.
You're a long way.
keeping us waiting.
Miraculously, but what's that one show from England I was
No.
Give some leeway here.
You guys need to watch some old Soviet cartoons. Those are scary.
I've seen those.
There's
Those are
Kayla.
weird.
Okay, so if you guys would, Caitlin and Kayla, go ahead and launch InDesign. Is it not coming on? What'd you do? Oh, the monitor wouldn't wake up. Well, I'm glad you figured out how to fix it after it's broken.
Oh, Golden Spies.
Look at how special you
Amazing
are.
Spies.
Is yours not on either?
Or those are all the same.
Flip your mouse over. Is it red? Yep. Okay, you're on.
Oh, Regal Academy was
Nothing? There it is.
very thoroughly.
Okay. In there. Travis, are you on the road yet? Guessing from his silence. He might be chatting. I don't know how to check the chat. Oh, there's a chat. I'm on the road, but I'm listening. Got it. Okay. Thank you.
What is that InDesign thing? Like,
What's that, fool?
what is it?
ID. Yep. No, back up. The pink ID.
You know what's surprisingly good? Kind of remix of.
I have a Star Wars in my hand, and I will not go away.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out together plotting out our project
What are we supposed to go on?
in design. So go to your rocket ship and then scroll over and find the pink ID.
XP?
ID. Anyway, what I want us to do is we're going to start together with our measurements so everybody's is on the same page. Okay? No pun intended. But okay, so we're going to do a create new, and I'm going to dim the light so you can see. Now, I was thinking we were going to be able to do 2 projects in InDesign before the end of the semester. I don't think so. So I'm going to make this particular project a little bit larger. so it will fill up our time. Okay?
Okay.
So, I'm going to, let's see, this is recording. He's listening. He can't see anything. Travis is, so I'll just won't share screen right now. Well, maybe I should just to be safe. Let's share. That. Okay. All right. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to go up here to the top and call it print. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go over here to the right. All right, we're going to name it. So I'm going to do my initials. So you do your initials. And we're going to call it newspaper. Then I'm going to go down to where the units are picas and say, I don't like you. We want inches. And then we're going to change the size from letter to tabloid. So 11 inches wide by 17 inches tall. Below that, where it says pages, we're going to do 4. All right. We'll skip the numbering. We're going to go down to number of columns on a page. We want 4 columns per page. The column gutter can stay. That's fine.
What does column gutter mean?
The space between each column. You'll see when we get it open. I'll show you. Margins. How big do we want the margins? Okay. This is where we're going to have to look at margins, bleed, and slug. The margins, I don't want a 1/2 inch. I want it, let's do 0.25, 1/4 of an inch. And then hit the tab key. Now, if this chain is not linked, you'll have to do each one individually. If it is linked, you just have to fill out one. All right, now, if bleed and slug is zipped up like this, go ahead and unzip it. The bleed that we're going to have on this will be a 1/2 inch, so 0.5. Okay. And then the slug will also be 0.5. No, I take that back. Slug will be 1 inch. Okay, so let's double check before we hit OK. 11 by 17 inches, not picas, right? 4 pages. Each page has 4 columns. The margins are a 1/4 inch. The bleed is a 1/2 inch, and the slug is 1 inch. Then hit create. Okay. Now, let me zoom out and show you what we got. The column gutter, Emily, you were asking about, that's this gutter right here. This is a column where text will go, then there's a space, column where text will go, space, okay? Now, what we've made here looks a little bit outlandish, but we're going to be printing these on larger sheet paper. So all of this extra stuff out here, we actually will see. And we can go back and change our bleed and slug if we need to.
Why does yours only have one line?
What's that?
Why does yours only have one line in the middle of it?
How does I have what?
Oh, never mind.
You just couldn't see it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
The red
okay.
line disappeared.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like,
Okay. So, and if you look, let's go, if you don't have this palette pages, go to Window and go down and say, I want to see pages. And this shows you all 4 of them, okay? Now, number 1 is your front page. Number 2 and 3 are your interior pages. And number 4 is your back page. Basically, what we're going to do is one section of a newspaper. You know, newspapers are made up of several chunks, okay? Now that we've got this made, we're going to leave InDesign briefly. You can just watch now. You don't have to follow along because we're going to go over how to build a newspaper and what is the structure of a newspaper, okay? So, okay. Let's do images. You see a lot of flow charts, okay? And these flow charts are interesting. They're important. And we'll get to actual visual diagrams in a second. So this is basically how articles are structured. We'll talk about this here in a second. The top is the headline. It catches the reader's attention. The lead is the most important information. The body is fleshing out that information, and the tail is the least important information. This is how they train journalists to write. Why is that important to us as graphic designers? What that is when you're given a story, it is edited and fit into print from the bottom up. So let's do the structure of a newspaper page. Okay, so several things here. Now this is an online newspaper. Let's see, compact newspaper, structure of a newspaper, deconstructing the front page. No, I'm not doing Pinterest. Screw that shit. Okay, so let's go back. This is just deconstructing the front page of a newspaper. So let's zoom up. Okay. So the layout and features. The masthead is the title of the newspaper. Okay. Then there are advertisement and promotional offers. Tabloid papers only. Preview of other articles, the puff. In other words, you'll see these on the Missourian as, see inside, donations to such and such, whatever, what have you. Then you'll have any one of these arrangements, and then sometimes on the bottom there is an advertisement. There used to not be. Now, we're going to steal 90% of our content, okay? Photographs, text, whatever. We're going to steal all that. However, how we format it and how we fit it on our page, that's the designing part of it, okay? So I'm not expecting you to create content, I'm not expecting you to write stories or take your own photographs or whatever. What we're going to do is steal. But we're going to have to assemble it in a good looking way. That's your challenge, is the visual side of this. Okay? So it talks here, a simpler layout. You have the masthead, which is the title of the paper. You might have little things like the price, the volume number, the publisher, maybe a little weather icon, something like that. Photography, almost all front pages except for the Wall Street Journal still rely heavily on photography. And then you have all these little pieces. So for photographs, the photographs always come with either a caption and a photo credit, or let's say it's just a stock photo of a celebrity or a public official. Oftentimes it will just have a photo credit, not a caption. Headlines, then a subhead, then a byline that tells us who wrote the article, then the article. Okay? So more wacky newspapers that are like the Inquirer or the Sun in England, it has all kinds of crazy shit on its front page. Okay, we're not doing a tabloid. And then online newspapers are much more just website based. Okay? Now let's go and find just the front page to start out with. All right. So okay. So if we look at something like this, this shows us variations of the same structure. Okay? This is the same day, the same event, 3 different newspapers covering it. This was the Ash Wednesday shooting at Marjorie Douglas Stoneman High School in Parkland, Florida. Okay? Now, these are 3 different front pages, but let's look at the similarities. Number 1, you have your masthead. Now, you'll notice here on the South Florida Sun Sentinel, the price, the date is above the masthead. The masthead is this whole chunk, this red ribbon, the Sun Sentinel, and even this one, their website. That is all the masthead, the big chunk. Over here, the masthead's a little thinner. And over here, the masthead is even smaller. But they all have a masthead. And there are certain information like the date, the price, website, whatever, it's all included in the masthead. Then we go to the lead story. This one, the headline takes over the entire width of the paper. This one, it only took off 2/3 of the whole paper. This one, again, takes the whole width of the paper. You have, in this one, you have specific drop information before they get to the article. In this one, we go right to a photo. We have a photo caption and a photo credit. We have a photo caption and a photo credit, photo caption, photo credit. Okay? Then they have the complete coverage with small headlines about the investigation, another photo, drop quote, and everything on this front page Shooting suspect have been kicked out of school. It's a separate story. And then an ad at the bottom. This one, terrible, terrible, terrible stuff. But then we have utility seeking to lower its rates. 9 Mile Road flyover near Navy Federal inches ahead. And an ad. Pensacola was farther away, so it didn't take the whole front page. Sun Sentinel and St. Lucie, they were closer, so theirs takes the entire front page. But even this one, Lake of Limbo, dike fixes not quite funded yet, and yet another ad. Okay? So a lot of similarities. So let's see here. Let's look at oh, there's the one. That's the one I want. Okay, so this one has a whole bunch of other things in it. But again, the masthead. Now on this one's front page, there's an index. In other words, a list of stories that are on the interior. Headlines, bylines by the author. This, a boxed story, is almost always a feature story. It's not hard news, okay? So if it's a fluff piece about charities or animals or kids or grandparents, it's usually considered a puff piece, usually gets that nice little box around it. If it's hard news like corruption, murder, war, politics, that usually is out of a box. Okay, that's considered hard news. Okay, this one I think is in a different language, so let's find if we can see here. No. So there are all kinds of layouts, but they all have similar approaches. That's a tabloid. Let's see here. And this has been true since the beginning. This is from 1969. Men walk on moon, astronauts land on plane, collect rocks, plant flag, the New York Times. Okay, very specific, large scale story. Let's see here. And it depends on if it's a busy news day or not. Parts, let's look here. So again, now they call this the flag or the masthead. Headline, photos like this, where you just have a public face, a stock photo that's called a headshot. Okay. Catch line, on certain photos themselves, if they're standalone photos, will have a headline, what they call a catch line. Doesn't really have an article to go with it, but it's kind of just a one-off photo talking about what's happening. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, I used to have really good diagrams. I can't find it. Oh, great. Pinterest, the bane of my existence. Let's see here. That's a little bitty photo, too. Let's look up some larger photos. Okay. Maybe I should go to all. Pinterest. Screw off. I'm not subscribing. Yeah. All right, well, let's look at Pinterest. God help me. Okay, now, if you look at certain newspapers, as you get into the interior things, you will start to see some interesting items. So, like, this is the arts and style section. I don't want to go to the actual article, you asshat. Ah, where'd it go? There it is. Okay, so as we're looking at this piece, will you go away? All right, so what do you see that's interesting here is you have a large photo, and now we have headline on top of the photo, which you would never ever do on the front page. But now that we're on the interior, we have a little more creative fluff, especially in the arts and style section. So laying text over the photograph is okay. You have something like this, where you have a drop quote, where you take a key quote from the article and you blow it up, and just to catch the viewer's eye. They're going to read this quote in the body, but this helps you catch and maybe invite someone into the story. Then you have this nice little photographic thing happening where they take a full photograph of him and they've wrapped the text around the image to make it a little more playful, to ingrain it a little, okay? In some cases, illustration is used. And in this case, this illustration is used to frame the article. It has text wrap. The writer, instead of giving us a byline, we have for the opinion page, we have the author of the article, something like that. And then this illustration just kind of frames the overall article. Okay, so there's lots of different approaches, but they all kind of look like newspapers. This is a very typical newspaper front page. It includes everything we're looking for. Okay. So believe it or not, these Pinterest clips are a pretty good reference that you can use to create your own. So how the hell would you get started in InDesign? Well, what I would recommend is before you start here, you should probably start on notebook paper. Let's see here. So I'm going to make a fake notebook paper in Photoshop, just to give you an idea, instead of drawing it on the board so it goes into this recording for anybody that's absent. All right, so I'm going to create new letter. I'll make it horizontal, create. All right, so brush, get some black, real small, much smaller. Okay, so two. Okay, so I'm thinking about Okay, I know I've got a column here, column here, column here, whatever. And I'm thinking, all right, so I know that right here is going to be my masthead. And maybe I'll put a photo here. And how you mark what's going to be a photo is you put an X in the box. X in the box means there's going to be a picture. Then we have a headline, a subhead, a byline, and then the article. And because it's the front page, I don't have to take the article all the way. I don't have to finish it. Maybe it ends before I get to the end of the page, and then I say, continued on blah, blah, blah. And then I got to have a photo credit and a photo caption. Then I'm going to have another headline and a subhead and a byline. And this time I'm going to let the article run in 2 columns instead of 1 across 2. Maybe the article ends there, and then I'm going to put an ad here. Okay? Now, it may not end up like this, but I get an idea of how I want to do it. Okay? Where are my pictures going to go and where are my text going to go? Now, there are some rules when it comes to columns and text. So, when you have 4 columns across the page, these are the acceptable sizes of text. You can do I'll do it up here. You can do, are you not going to give me something? What are you doing? Okay. Usually it gives me Lorem Ipsum, but whatever. Okay. Now, right now, this box is not following any columns. See, it's just a sea of text. So I have to tell it, where is my stuff at the top? Control, that's what I want. There we go. There's our baby. Okay, so I want to tell this guy, you're going to be, let's see here. Where is my columns? I've lost my columns. There they are. Okay, so you can do 4 across 4. All right, so 4 columns across 4 columns. That's legal. You can do 2 across 4. That's legal. You can do 3 across 4. That's legal. But you cannot do 1 across 4. Okay? So let me go to the view, over print preview. I'm sorry. Where's it at? Screen mode, presentation. Okay, that's what it looks like without all of its borders. So the top one is 4 rows across 4 rows. That works fine. You can do that. You could do 2 columns over 4. That's not considered too far of a stretch. You could do 3 columns over 4. That's not considered a faux pas. But to do 1 column across 4, it's too much unless you're publishing a novel. Okay? Now, what are some other iterations of this? Okay, you can do, if you have a, let's say you have something that's only going to take up 2 columns. So let me make another text box. And say this text box is only going to go across 2 columns. Okay. Just as before, you can do 1 column over 2. Okay, that's fine. You can do 2 across 2. That's fine. But you cannot do 3 across 2. This is a bad thing because it looks dumb. So if we look here, screen mode, presentation, these two look pretty normal. This looks insane. So you never do 3 columns over 2. You never want to do less than how many columns you have. Okay? So that's a bad one. So let me see here. No. No. And then this one is a no. Okay. Hi, Jen. Huh?
Oh, InDesign.
Oh, yes. So, go ahead.
Are you going on break? Do you take a break in this class?
Yeah, we take a break.
Call me when you do. I have exciting news.
Oh,
Oh, no. Okay, bye. Bye.
okay.
Bye. Bye.
Goodbye. 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 Goodbye.
Sayonara.
Goodbye. All right. So now that is body copy. Those are the rules for body copy. Okay. And if you have questions, it'll take a while to get used to what's acceptable and what's not. Now let's talk about headlines. Headlines are a little bit different creature. Yep. Now headlines are usually, they can go across several things. Now you can also do, if you have body copy that's only 1 column, like a short story, where you can only fit the first part of it in. Okay. Let's say, okay. All right. Now, one thing you wouldn't do is put a headline for a 1 column story. The headline needs to also stay in 1 column. Okay. So you would do, all right. So I would never take this text and go, where am I at here? I want, let's say a 30-point font. I would never take my headline and do this with it. And then put the 1 column story under it like that. That's no good. That's awful. What you want to do is you want to keep the headline in with that 1 column story. Okay, like that. Now, if your story covers, say, what is that? That's 3 over 4. I need, here's my 2 over 3. Is that 2 over 3? That's 1 over 2. That's a 2 over 4. Okay, a 2 over 3. then your headline can stretch across the entire top of it. What am I doing? No, that's not what I wanted. I want that. No, let's go up a little bit. Okay, now here's the problem. When writing headlines, if your headline is too short to go over your entire article, you have to fluff it up. You have to finish this out. You cannot leave this empty dead space. So I'm going to add, there we go. Now it's a full headline over the entire article. They have to be connected, okay? That's just part of the design. Okay, now if I want to bring in a photo, I can make this rectangular frame tool. And then I want to file, place. Oh, let's see here. No. Has to be another photo somewhere. Oh, there we go. We'll use that one. So open. All right, it goes into the frame. You notice that the frame has cropped it. Now, when I want to move a picture inside a frame, if I grab it, the whole thing moves. Okay? But if I want to move a picture's location inside the frame, I double click the picture. And now do you see this brown line outside of it? That is the actual dimensions of the whole photograph. So I can hold the shift key and scoot this in and try and fit more of the photograph into the frame. Okay? And then when I go to view, screen mode, presentation, whoop. So now it's starting to look like the skeleton of a newspaper. Okay? Now, the other thing you can do with frame is content fitting. So let's say I get a small picture. I'm going to hit delete. Whoop, took the whole thing. Double click, delete. No, it still took it. Nope, there's the frame. Okay, so I'm going to go get a really, actually, I'm going to get a big picture. So place, let's see here. Well, that might be too small, but I'll try. Okay. All right, now, here. Do you see how much larger the photograph is than the frame I put it in? It goes all the way out here. I just double clicked it. So what I can do is this little yellow box that pops up on our frame, if I right click the frame, where's that? Nope, not right click. I got to right click that yellow box. And if I go down halfway to fitting, fit content proportionally, fit frame proportionally, fit frame to content, or fit the content to the frame. Now, if I fit it to the frame, it's going to squash it because it's not fitting it proportionally. So I'm going to fit content, which is the photograph of the Lakeside Lodge, to the frame I already have. And now it's zoomed down. If I double click it, the photograph comes in. Now here's the problem though. It's too small. You see the frame is all the way out here and my photo has shrunk in here. That's not what I wanted. It fit the top and bottom, but not the side. So I'm going to right click it again, go down to fitting, and I'm going to say fit content to frame. And it stretched it a little bit. Not enough to where we would notice on a building like this. Now, if it was a face, it would be a problem. So you just right click the image and you could tell it to fit closer to the frame. Okay? So far, how's everybody doing? You following along okay? It's a lot of information, but a lot of it's common sense. It's just structurally, keeping track of the rules and stuff like that. Now, body copy in magazines and in newspapers is measured in inches. So if a writer says that they have a 6-inch story, okay, what that translates to is 1 column times whatever. So a 6-inch story would be 1 column wide by 6 inches tall on a newspaper. Okay. Now, if it's 2 columns wide, then it would be by 3 inches tall. Okay. So if a writer has a 10-inch story, that means it'll fill a space of, each one of the columns acts as an inch. And so if you do 4 columns, that would be 4 inches. And then it would be half of it's 4 inches. So that leaves it down to 2. So it would be 4 columns wide, but only 2 inches tall. Okay. And it would take up space accordingly. Now, let's see here. Yeah, okay. Now, back to the web we go. All right, so what you want to do is to make it as realistic as possible. You want to look at examples and what do they carry with them. So let's maybe make a list. All right, so front page. We'll start at the top and work our way down. All right, so as we go down, we need the masthead. You got to have your, let's do date, volume number, web address, maybe weather. Okay. Maybe interior stories. Okay, you have those options. Then you need your top headline. We'll make that a little bigger. Okay, top headline. You need your first image. And then you need your body copy. Secondary headline. Tertiary headline. Now, with each story, with each image comes a caption and a photo credit. Body copy comes with a byline. A headline comes with a subhead that kind of elaborates on the headline. So you could write the headline, 2 killed in drive-by. That's the main headline. The subhead would be police investigate possible link to gang violence or gang activity. That's the subhead. So you get them caught with the 2 killed, then what the police are thinking, then you get down into the article. Okay? That'll give you the specifics. The other thing you must remember, the body copy size never changes. It's usually 11 to 11.5. However, the headlines get smaller as they become farther down the page. Your top headline is always the largest. Second headline's a little bit smaller. Third headline's a little bit smaller. And as they go down the page, they get less and less. If it's a top headline and there's a secondary headline to the right in a 1-column thing, it's the same thing. You stair step them down and make them smaller as they become less important on the page. Okay? Again, a secondary headline will need a subhead, need a byline. Okay? Okay, so we're slowly going through getting an idea. Maybe this one has an image with it. Image, headshot, no photo credit or caption needed. Okay. So maybe the third headline's about, people say goodbye to Alex Trebek or something like that. And there's just a little stock photo of Alex Trebek's face. You don't need to do a photo credit on headshots. Okay. All right. So far, so good. Now, let's see here. Time it. All right, let's take about a 15-minute break. And then I want you to be thinking about what kind of newspaper you're going to do. What's the subject matter going to cover? Is it going to be realistic? Is it going to be fantastical? Things like that. And we're going to talk about the process of making stuff to bring into InDesign to make more stuff with. Okay? All right, I'll see you in 15.